Welcome to Documentary First, an inside look at a first-time filmmaker's journey. I'm your host, Josh Lindsay from the Movie Proposal Podcast. And with me is our first-time filmmaker, Christian Taylor. Hello, Christian.
Josh, how are you?
Very good. And as always, our sound engineer extraordinaire, Jason Rugg.
Hey there.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Well, you look great, Christian, and I think it's because you've been on vacation. Is that right?
Well, I've been resting
You've been
necessarily. My husband was gone all last week. He's gone this week doing this week it's work. Last week it was vacationing with our son. So that left me at home with time to rest. I can sleep in and don't have to cook dinner. And
Is this your first major break you've had since the film started?
Yeah, I would say yes, actually, because if I wasn't working on the film, I was traveling or doing fundraisers, or even when I got back after Normandy, I had driving all over the country for 4th of July and family things, and my son graduating from basic training and stuff like that. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been at home. And it's been great.
Has it been weird?
It has been very weird. I've gone through a lot of emotions. I found myself crying a lot. That was unusual. Randomly for no reason. Fortunately, I go to counseling every week. During this process, I never wanted to actually go crazy. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a mental health check-in every week just to, a safe place to vent and just to check to make sure I'm, managing the stress levels. So
a project like this would take a toll on anyone, but especially someone doing it for the very first time, I would imagine.
For sure. I mean, I had an understanding that it was going to cost a lot in terms of time and emotions and energy and all of that. So I knew that up front. I guess I didn't, it's sort of like when you get the concept of a thing, you understand when somebody explains to you that surgery is painful, intellectually it's painful, but when you go through the surgery, you have a different kind of knowledge, right? So it's the same thing. I knew how hard it was going to be just in every aspect, but walking through it, I've had to experience those difficulties. And I've had some success in some areas and not so much in others.
So last time we talked, we had recently had the first U.S. screening. Mm-hmm. Have you had any screenings since?
No, thank goodness. That's another thing. I haven't had to prepare anything.
So when is the next big screening?
I leave on Wednesday, August 21st. I don't know when this one will come out, but I may have already been gone by the time people are listening to this. But August 21st, and it's in Denver, Colorado. It's being sponsored by the Denver Activities League. Jake Schroeder there is an incredible guy. He's the director of the Denver Activities League, and it is an organization that helps to involve at-risk inner-city kids. They have done sports in the past where police officers coach teams, or they are involved in some way in these kids' lives. But now they're really turning to a more educational focus. And Jake has bought a property in St. Mary Glees, and it's a huge house right on the square. And he, every year, takes inner city kids over to Normandy for the 2-week D-Day experience. He introduces them to veterans. He brings veterans to Denver to meet these kids. And so we share a lot of the same passion and mission for bringing together the older and younger generations and educating them. And so when he saw our film in Normandy and was just super excited about it and is sponsoring us to come there. He wants to try to help us raise money and get the word out. So
this guy from Denver was in Normandy when you were screening it.
Yeah.
And now he's inviting you to Denver.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that is cool. That's why I screen. I screen to make relationships, to spread the word. If people are interested in having a screening, the people that are going to come are interested in the subject matter. And, I'm still trying to find groups of people that will help me tell my story.
And what's his organization again?
It's the Denver Police Activities League. They call it Denver PAL, P-A-L. And it is... it's an amazing organization. I suggest you Google it, or I don't know if we have show notes, but we should put those up. We should have show notes. What's so amazing is that he found out about us before we even finished the film, and he let us stay in this house that he had in December when we went to shoot.
Oh, okay.
So he was just so generous, and so and he's an incredible individual. And so this house has this big, huge attic. Like every time in Normandy, when you buy a new house or you go in one, you always go to the attic because all of those houses have a history of World War II, and a lot of times people would hide out in the attics, whether they're Germans or Americans, and so you can find like different things like scrawled into the walls and stuff like that. Sometimes you can even find artifacts up there still in the attics. It's crazy.
Wow.
There was nothing up there. They had picked over it. I was so disappointed. But you could tell that people had lived up there, and it was this secret, like, it's a great hide and seek place. It's very cool.
So speaking of screenings and festivals, so that the first one we had in the United States was in Oak Park, and the next one's going to be in Denver.
And then we still have two others we have two in Colorado Springs. So we'll do August 21st in Denver, and then we'll drive to Colorado Springs, and we're meeting with the 101st Airborne Division Association. And the 101st Airborne Division Association has been another huge help to us. They act as a physical sponsor as well. So people, if they're comfortable donating to the 101st Airborne Association, they donate, and then they just give the money to us. They've let me come to their events and screen, and so they've just been a big supporter. So I'm going to go there and show them the film just for their small, limited group. It's not for public viewing. So I have another friend there, Judith Nolan, who is going to host a screening at the Palisades at Broadmoor, which is a senior living facility in Colorado Springs. And so we're going to screen it there. My son Hunter is going to be there, who's in the film. So that's going to be cool.
Is it at the Broadmoor?
It's not. It's near the Broadmoor.
Near the Broadmoor, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been there. It's nice.
It's very nice. Yes, it's like a country club.
Screening at the Broadmoor.
We actually had a screening scheduled at the Broadmoor.
Really?
But they only gave us an hour, and we're like, oh, that's not going to work. So they didn't have the 3 hours that we really need. So. Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be a nice little trip, and Hunter will also be at the one in Denver, and so I'm super excited about this. This is the first time Hunter has seen the film in a screening environment. He watched it on his phone,
sure,
but this will be the first time he's seen it that way. So that's kind of cool.
So you mentioned
Hunter's my son, by the way, for those of you that don't know, and he's in the film.
He's in the film. You mentioned doing these screenings, like the purpose is to create relationships. It's also, I imagine, to find people to participate in fundraising and continue help working on the film. Where are you at in terms of fundraising right now?
That's a great but depressing question. We are back to square zero, sadly. We have used everything that has been donated. I think we have about $400 in the bank account. So I'm sort of in a holding pattern. My editor costs me $2,500 a week. And so I can't really work on the film without my editor. And so I really do need to raise his salary. I need to raise money to buy the rights for different things. I need to raise money to buy E&O insurance. And
what's E&O insurance?
Errors and omissions insurance. It's just so when the film airs, if we don't want people to sue us for any errors we made or anything we omitted or anything like that. It's just kind of a safety measure. But in order for distributors to license it, we have to have that. There's a whole bunch of other costs that I now know I have to take into consideration. Again, I am new at this. I didn't understand all of the costs, in the beginning. And so I've just I also didn't really know, how far this was going to go. So, now that we're at this rough cut stage, I now have a better idea of the costs that lie ahead of me, and I know what things I need to do to change and rearrange our film. We do need to shave time off, but I think I need to have some restructuring, which is going to entail some rewrites and a more substantial editing process. Plus, my editor needs to make an official trailer. The trailer that we have right now does not reflect our film. And, I need marketing materials. Truthfully, a filmmaker should work with an editor full time. And if I was able to do that, I would, be somewhere else. But but anyway, so yeah, we have been scratching our heads with what do we do? How do we keep this moving forward? And thankfully, my social media team, Bethany Valero and Becca Euland and Kyler Redding and David Needham and Melissa Perkins, these are all volunteers that meet with me once a week. They are my inspiration. They are the engine that moves things along in so many ways. They have been trying to think outside the box. So right now we sort of have a 3-pronged approach to raising money. And the first one is just continuing to use social media. And we use our blog and our podcast as new content. And then we try to find other pieces of new content that people would want to see or look at, and just take our plea to people, please help us tell these stories. And then the second one is we opened a store last week where we are selling T-shirts and hats, posters. We're going to be selling patches, and I'm trying to make deals with people that create things. So, for example, Laura of Little Clayland made this little figurine of me and Phil Vischer and Sky Jitani, which was so adorable.
That was great.
And so I said to her, hey, do you want to make one of those of the girl who wore freedom? We'll sell them on our website. We can share the profit. So she's considering that. I don't know if she'll take me up on that offer, but that would be wonderful if we could find people that are willing to create something, and it would give them a little bit of visibility, a bigger audience, and we could share some of those profits. So, and I'm trying to find other things I can sell in the store. I'm digging through.
How do you find the store?
So the store is at normandystories.com, and then there is a shop tab.
Okay.
So if you go to the shop, you can go shopping.
So you said there was 3 prongs: social media, the store, and what was
then screenings. And so it's just a matter of taking the film to places. People there are sponsoring us and saying, I think I can get an audience here. I do know some high-value donors. So, or we'll have a suggested donation and people can come and donate, or you can sell things. So after Colorado, we're then going to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, or actually in Clarksville, Tennessee. And we're going to screen there on September 22nd at the library. And then in October, October 1st and 2nd, somewhere around in there, I'm going to be in New York City and on Long Island. And then our biggest one, I'm kind of putting all of my eggs in this basket, is in Branson, Missouri. I may have told you about this one.
Yeah, but tell us again.
Well, it's just Branson, Missouri. It's the Branson Military Film Festival. I had no idea. It was this big veteran expo that happens every year. Thousands and thousands of people come here for all these veteran-focused activities. They have a veteran expo, and they have opening ceremonies on November 5th. And then we have a screening on November 6th and a screening on November 8th. And they have a parade on November 11th. And they are flying in the girl who wore freedom. So Danny is flying over from France and her daughter Flo. And so they're going to fly to Chicago. We're going to drive to Branson, Missouri. And we hope to raffle off some tickets for a dinner that, people can buy chances to sit down and have dinner with Flo and Danny. We hope that they will have an opportunity to go to School of the Ozarks and talk with some college kids. And she's going to be in a parade. So it's going to be this really fun, awesome week where we get to screen our film, meet a lot of people that care about history and veterans, and hearing more unique takes on D-Day. And then we leave there and we go to the Villages, Florida. So we have a screening on November 13th and 14th. Danny and Flo will be there.
Where, and I assume on normandystories.com is where you can find the screenings?
Yeah, it's normandystories.com/screenings.
Screenings,
yeah,
okay.
So you can sign up for the screenings there, and you'll find all the schedule there.
Bring your friends, family, and wealthy relatives to the screenings.
Yes.
It'll be a good time. All right, well, hey, why don't we end on that note, and we'll pick up talking more about just the process of making the film and where you're at, and kind of the getting to the end point. But in the meantime, thank you for listening to Documentary First, where we believe everyone has a story to tell, and you can be the one to tell it.
Bye, everybody.